An investigation is underway tonight as 3 inmates are dead and a correctional officer injured. That's after an altercation at the Washington State Prison Sunday night. The men and the prison are on the screen behind me right here. Ahmaud Hatcher, Jimmy Trammell, and Teddy Jackson died in what officials believe was a gang-related fight. Hatcher was serving 20 years related to an aggravated assault from here in Richmond County. Jimmy Trammell was serving 20 years for first-degree burglary out of Fulton County, and Teddy Jackson was serving 10 years for aggravated assault in Bibb County. Maggie Fitzgerald reports from the Washington State Prison tonight.
Inside Washington State Prison, a Sunday brawl left 3 inmates dead and families searching for answers. But an eyewitness telling us today it all happened inside the prison's visitation area, where she says a group of inmates burst through the door, bloodied and armed, leaving visitors scrambling.
It's really just now hitting me how dangerous it really was, how much worse it could have been.
Tonight, an eyewitness says it all happened in seconds. A routine Sunday visit with a loved one at Washington State Prison turning into a nightmare. The witness asked to remain anonymous for her safety, but she says something felt off when she saw guards bolt out of the visitation area Sunday afternoon, leaving 1 female officer inside.
Something going on. We heard very loud, almost yelling coming from the walkie-talkies. You could hear her say, "Don't open that door, you can't come in here."
Shouting from the guard, first directed at inmates deeper into the facility, then to visitors, telling them to get out. The witness says the group overpowered a guard, taking his keys to then break into the visiting room.
The prisoners that were trying to come through the door were right behind her, hot on her heels, with blood and weapons, and they just busted through a door. They're standing between us and our loved ones.
The riot-style attack left 3 men dead, including 23-year-old Ahmaud Hatcher. Hatcher's family says they are demanding answers and accountability, claiming he had warned his mother about unsafe conditions inside the prison.
A piece of my heart just was torn out of my chest. He was scared of his life. They were a cause of my son to get killed because they wasn't doing their job.
And Sheriff Joel Cochran says the scene was secure and all inmates were accounted for by 6 p.m. on Sunday. The GDC is investigating.
Now that is a crazy situation because it could have ended way better if the inmates who busted through the door were if the inmates who busted through the door wanted to do something crazy to the visitors. I wonder why. Is it their protocol to only leave 1 officer in the visitation area when there's visitors? I feel like there should be more officers to protect the public because that's their job. But I guess they might have felt that 1 female officer was good enough. Let's go over into this next video where they mention about the inmate who died, who was about to be released. So let's get over into that.
Yeah, and George, I'm standing in front of the Greyhound bus station where they were set to have a family reunion on Wednesday. They had it all planned out. Jimmy Trammell, he was going to be released from that prison in Washington County, catch a bus here to this Greyhound bus station and start his new life. But he was killed 4 days before his release.
He did 10 years in his prison, and he didn't make it home.
Home. It's where 42-year-old Jimmy Trammell expected to be Wednesday after 10 years as an inmate with the Georgia Department of Corrections for felony burglary charges.
He was going to be taking the bus back here, and he needed to be picked up from the bus station. And I was going to pick him up from the bus station, but I didn't get that chance.
According to Aquinas, his brother Jimmy Trammell was killed Sunday as fights broke out in the Washington State Prison in Washington County. Trammell is one of 3 inmates who were killed. The Department of Corrections saying Ahmaud Hatcher and Teddy Jackson are the other 2 inmates. At least 13 other inmates and a corrections officer were injured. Aquinas got a call from the warden in the early hours of Monday morning.
She just said he was involved in an altercation and he lost his life.
For Aquinas and Trammell, the past 10 years have been rough. They lost both of their parents and 2 siblings. But Trammell's release was a chance at a second life, the turning of a new leaf.
He talked about proving to me a better side of him than what I know. And that was taken away from me. And I need answers. I really do.
The Department of Corrections say this all started as an altercation on a sidewalk between inmates that were a part of gangs. Within 2 hours, though, they say they had this under control. But Tramel's family now obviously planning a funeral instead of a reunion. We're now live here.
Absolutely crazy situation. Don't go to jail. That's a simple. That's simple. That's what I'm learning from this. Do not go to jail. Jail is not the place for us, for anybody. At least not for me. I don't know about y'all, but it's not for me. I'm not built for it. I don't. There's no need. That's why I like to be a law-abiding citizen. That's crazy. It's always something. Something. It's either you about to retire, a couple days before you retire from like cops. A couple days before they retire, they end up getting shot and killed. Inmates who are a couple days from getting out of prison, killed in a gang fight. It's just don't go to prison. Please don't go to prison, because you don't know when, if it can just be a la-di-da experience, or it could be the worst experience of your life and you end up losing your life, all because you wanted to do something, do some criminal activity. But let's get over into the AI breakdown to see if they tell us any more details about this whole situation. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. So like they said, on Sunday, January 11th, a gang-related riot at Washington State Prison in Georgia resulted in the death of 3 inmates. So they've identified the victims as Jimmy, they already talked about him. So 42, 23, and Teddy Jackson. So they were serving 20 years, and 10 years. The violence erupted at 1:25 p.m. On an outdoor sidewalk that lasted around 90 minutes before being brought under control at 3 p.m. In addition to the 3 fatalities, roughly 12 to 14 other injuries, other inmates were injured, and 1 correctional officer was injured and required hospitalization. Eyewitnesses reported that a group bloodied inmates, some armed with weapons, overpowered a guard and forced their way into the prison's visitation room while families were present. No visitors were injured, but they had to be scrambled to safety by staff. It could have ended terribly. If the inmates would have ended up killing visitors, the whole prison would have to go under investigation. It still need to do a big investigation. Why was there only 1 officer watching out for the visiting staff, or for the visiting families? That seems like a more than 1 person job. But so the current status of the medium security facility remains on lockdown while Georgia's Department of Corrections conducts an investigation. That's good. So crazy situation, y'all. No matter how you look at it, it's a crazy situation. 3 inmates lost their lives, 14 injured, 12 to 14 other inmates injured, and 1 correctional officer. I would like to know how they died. Did they die from stabbing, gunshot? I'm assuming they were killed by another inmate. Jail is not the place. Jail is not the place you want to be. Jail is not the place that anyone needs to be. You think you're about to get out and you end up dying in a gang fight? But the question stirs, I want to know, was he participating in the riot? Because I don't know how it works, because I've never been to prison, but if a riot happens, can you just stay out of it? Because if I'm getting out, and I always do that, if I'm getting out in a few days and a riot happens, I'm gonna stay in my room or stay in my cell. Is that an option? Or are they gonna look at you like a punk because you're not rioting with them? I'm not trying to make any of these types of decisions. Overall, it's just not a good situation. It's a terrible thing that he died. That 3 inmates were killed. But this is something that this is something that happens in prison. Inmates getting killed by other inmates. It's a crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said.